As a whole, his brain took a shortcut, right? His brain took a shortcut in order to read that passage, and he read it correctly, which is a great thing. However, I just showed you that your brain can make shortcuts, but what happens if it makes the wrong decision? Okay? How are these things affect us? Your brain made a good decision, however, sometimes our brains make mistakes, right? And that's what we're here to talk about today, is when your brain makes mistakes. So, when we are being evaluated, we're in front of people, we're trying to manage those perceptions of how people view us, right? So that's why we sing in the shower and dance in front of the mirrors, because no one cares. No one's there to judge me, right? Then we fall into that stereotype threat where we have that slow track where we act outside of our normal parameters. Like Susan Boyle, right? Susan Boyle had a lot of guts to get up in front of those judges and sing, even though she knew she was really good at it, but she was going to be viewed stereotypically. She was going to be viewed based on her appearance. So that's where we kind of fall into it.
Getting hit with really hard with car break-ins in the district that I work in, and every day I was getting calls from angry residents like, when are you guys going to catch this car thief? When are you going to catch him? Every day. The front desk buzzes up to my office and says, hey, there's a lady here, she's from, and it's that community, and she's down here and she says she needs to talk to you. She says she has to see you. And I was like, oh my God, it's going to be about these car break-ins, and I'm going to just completely come unraveled. I have so many other things to deal with right now. And I was like, can you please just have the lieutenant deal with this situation, and I'll call her later. And they said, no, she is not leaving until you come down here. So I went down just angry, because I was going to go down and be like, just lock your car door. And there's this lady down there with a giant tray from the local bakery of cookies and pastries and donuts. Had nothing to do with the car break-ins. And so again, it really does, your past experiences totally affect how you feel about people. You're right.
And what about her? What do we say for her? Flight attendant, right? But if you look closely, you see above her little name tag, those are her wings, right? So she's a pilot. Now think about that. All these different situations where you're in and you see things, maybe a snapshot of them, and you make the determination based on unconscious bias, based on what? Things that happened in your life before, things that you see on TV. So think about where these stereotypes come from.
I actually think he was a defense attorney, and he was bipolar. He went off of his meds, and he just couldn't function anymore. And his life just kind of took a spiral, and he ended up living on the street. I mean, he's been on the street for 20-some years. Under officers will encounter him. They'll be like, hey man, you got to get out of here. You're going to go to jail. And he's like, why would you arrest me for just being here and hanging out? And they're like, yeah, it's you can't trespass. And then he busts out well, under Article 4, Section whatever of the Constitution, I have the legal right to be here. And the backup officer will get there, that dude is a defense attorney. What are you doing? And the new guy's like, this guy's a defense attorney? And they're like, yeah, he had a really bad run in life and went off his meds, and it's really unfortunate, but this guy knows the law way better than you, so don't threaten him.
Now the Ravens, Terrell Suggs, gets roughing the passer on Ben. He kicks him and he spits on him, throws a penalty flag on him. Who's at fault there? Suggs. Terrell Suggs is. Why? Because he's a thug, right? Because he put now switch the role. Now let's say Terrell Suggs comes over and plays for the Steelers. He's not that bad. He's not that bad. Why is that? Because you're fans of that team, right? Think about in your dynamic. So do you guys have bosses? Do you have bosses in the room? Who's the boss here? Okay, these guys are the bosses. You guys are the frontline folks here. You guys have to put up with their bullshit. So we're the ones that are actually getting the job done. Now when we flip that around, in his mind, he's thinking, well, all these cops, what are they doing? And it's not like the way it was. We knew what we were doing when we were cops. I don't know what these kids are doing nowadays. Think about the different dynamics you have. Your life. The color of your skin is one facet of your life. The religion that you are, that's one facet. Being a police officer is only one part of me. It's a big part, but guess what? I'm a lot more than just a cop. Think about how your brain works and how we call it the single story, and how your brain kind of gets into these loops where you're only thinking certain ways.